The Book of Jubilees, Chapter 20. Now this chapter goes over Ishmael point arrow at Jacob. Ishmael marries into Canaanite women. Abraham tell Ishmael wife, Canaanite woman, to tell Ishmael to put away the nail, which is another word for wife or woman, in his tent and replace with another nail. With scriptural references, precepts, and witnesses as Genesis 25, verse 1, Genesis 25, verse 12 through 16 in the King James Version, Deuteronomy 7, Ezra 9, and 2 Kings 19, verses 17 through 19, Psalms 115, 3 through 8, Isaiah 37, verse 18 through 20, and the Book of Asher, chapter 21. So let's begin. The Book of Jubilees, chapter 20. And in the 42nd Jubilee, in the first year of the 7th week, Abraham called Ishmael 2052, or it could have been 2045 a.m., and his 12 sons, and Isaac and his 2 sons, and the 6 sons of Keturah and their sons. And he commanded them that they should observe the way of Yahuwah, that they should work righteousness and love his neighbor, and act on this manner among all men, that they should each so walk with regards to them as to judgment and righteousness on the earth. The precept to that is Genesis 25, verse 1 through 6, King James Version, regarding Keturah's 6 sons. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and this was after Sarah had died. And she bare him Zemran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Median, and Ishbak, and Shua. And Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asherim, and Leshem, and Lehuamin. And the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Ebfer, and Hanok, and Abadah, and Eldah. And all these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward until the east country. In Genesis chapter 25, verses 12 through 16, Ishmael 12 princes. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebojah, and Kedar, and Abiel, and Mibzan, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, and Hadar, and Timar, and Jetur, and Napshish, and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. Now to continue into the book of Jubilees, chapter 20, verse 3 through 9. That they should circumcise their son according to the covenant which he had made with them, and not deviate to the right hand or to the left, all the paths which Yahuwah had commanded us, and that we should keep ourselves from all fornication, uncleanness, and renounce from amongst all of us fornication and uncleanness. And if any woman or maid commit fornication amongst you, burn her with fire, and let them not commit fornication with her after their eyes and their heart, and let them not take to themselves wives from the daughters of Canaan, for the seed of Canaan will be rooted out of the land. And he told them of the judgment of the giants and the judgment of the Sodomites, how they had been judged on account of their wickedness, and had died on account of their fornication and uncleanliness and mutual corruption through fornication. The precepts and witnesses, King James Version, Deuteronomy 7 and Ezra 9. Deuteronomy 7, verse 1. When Yahuwah thy Elohim shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and had cast out many nations before thee, the Hittite, the Girgashite, the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations, greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahuwah thy Elohim shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, and utterly destroy them, and shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. And Ezra 9, verse 1 and 2. Now when these things were done, the princes, which is Ishmael, princes, his sons, came unto me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the land doing according, these must be the Ishmael and Jacob's 12 princes. The people of Israel, because they're talking about the princes, but it was Ishmael sons that led them astray. So let's get back into Ezra 9, 1 and 2. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the land, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanite, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those land. Yea, the hand of the princes and the rulers have been chief in trespass against this. Again, these were Ishmael's sons that caused this culprit for Israel to go astray, marrying and mixing and mingle into these other nations. Now, witness to that again is the book of Asher, chapter 21, verses 13 to 16, and verse 25 through 37. Book of Asher, chapter 21. And when Isaac was 5 years old, he was sitting with Ishmael at the door of the tent. And Ishmael came to Isaac and seated himself opposite to him. And he took the bow and drew it and put the arrow in it and intended to slay Isaac. And Sarah saw the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Isaac, and it grieved her exceedingly on account of her son. And she sent for Abraham and said to him, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for her son shall not be heir with my son. For thus did he seek to do unto him this day. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah, and he rose up early in the morning, and he took 12 loaves and a bottle of water, which he gave to Hagar, and sent her away with her son. And Hagar went with her son to the wilderness, and they dwelt in the wilderness of Paran with the inhabitants of the wilderness. And Ishmael was an archer, and he dwelt in the wilderness a long time. Several verses down, verse 25. And Abraham asked the wife of Ishmael, saying, where has Ishmael gone? And she said, he has gone to the fields to hunt. And Abraham was still mounted upon the camel, for he would not get to the ground, as he had sworn to his wife Sarah that he would not get off the camel. And Abraham said unto Ishmael's wife, my daughter, give me a little water that I may drink, for I am fatigued from the journey. And Ishmael's wife answered and said unto Abraham, we have neither water nor bread. And she continued sitting in the tent and did not notice Abraham, neither did she ask him who he was. But she was beating her children in the tent, and she was cursing them, and she also cursed her husband Ishmael, and reproached him. And Abraham heard the words of Ishmael's wife to her children, and he was very angry and displeased. And Abraham called to the woman to come out to him from the tent, and the woman came and stood opposite to Abraham, for Abraham was still mounted upon the camel. And Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, when thy husband Ishmael return home, say these words to him, a very old man from the land of the Philistines came hither to seek thee, and thus his appearance and fatigue. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing that was not here, he spoke unto me and said, when Ishmael thy husband return, tell him thus this man says, when thou come home, put away this nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its stead. And Abraham finished his instructions to the woman, and he turned and went off on the camel homeward. And after that Ishmael came from the chase, he and his mother, and returned to the tent. And his wife spoke these words to him, a very old man from the land of the Philistines came to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and fatigue. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou was not at home, he said to me, when thy husband come home, tell him thus said the old man, put away the nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its tent stead. And Ishmael heard the words of his wife, and he knew that it was his father, and that his wife did not honor him. And Ishmael understood his father's words that he had spoken to his wife, and Ishmael hearkened to the voice of his father. And Ishmael cast off the woman, and she went away. And Ishmael afterward went to the land of Canaan, and he took another wife, and he brought her to his tent, to the place where he did then dwelt. Now continuing back to the book of Jubilees, chapter 20, 6 through 10. And guard yourself from all fornication and uncleanness, and from all pollution of sin, lest ye make our name a curse, and your whole life a hissing, and all your sons to be destroyed by the sword, and ye become a curse like Sodom, and all your remnant as the sons of Gomorrah. I implore you, my sons, love the Elohim Yahuwah of heaven, and cleave ye to his commandments, and walk not after their idols, and after their uncleanness, and make not for yourselves molten or graven gods, for they are vanity, and there is no spirit in them, for they are the work of men's hands, and all who trust in them trust in nothing. Serve them not, nor worship them, but serve ye the Most High Elohim Yahuwah, and worship him continually, and hope for his countenance always, and work uprightness and righteousness before him, that he may have pleasure in you, and grant you his mercy, and send rain upon you morning and evening, and bless all your works which ye have wrought upon the earth, and bless thy bread and thy water, and bless the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy land, and the herds of thy cattle, and the flock of thy sheep. Precept to that, 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 17 through 19. Of a truth, Yahuwah, the king of Assyria, had destroyed the nations and their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire, for they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, therefore they have destroyed them. Now therefore, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, I beseech thee, save thou us out of his hands, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art Elohim Yahuwah, even thou only. Psalms 115, verse 3 through 8. But our Elohim Yahuwah is in the heavens. He had done whatsoever he had pleased. Their idols and silver and gold, the works of men's hands, that they have mouths, but they speak not, have eyes, but they see not, they have ears, but they hear not, noses they have, but they smell not, they have hands, but they handle not, feet they have, but they walk not, neither speak through their throat. They that make them are like unto them, so is everyone that trusted in them. Again, these precepts are talking about the idols that many of those other lands, like the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Moabites, all those different nations and the sons of Ishmael, where they went, they started worshiping all these different idols. And we see today the people over in the East Country, a lot of them bow down to a black box, whether it's wood or stone. But Yah doesn't want that. Continuing on to Isaac 37, Yeshaya 37, verse 18 through 20. Again, we're still in the precepts when it talks about Abraham talking to his sons, telling them not to bow down or worship or make any golden images or any type of images, and they did it anyway. So here we go, Isaac 37, 18 through 20. Of a truth, Yahuwah the king of Assyria had laid waste all the nations and their countries, and have cast their gods into the fire, for they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, therefore they have destroyed them. Now therefore, O Yahuwah our Elohim, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art Elohim Yahuwah, and it's you and you alone. So again, these are precepts talking about the same thing in King James Version versus the book of Jubilees and book of Asher. These books are serving as precepts and witnesses, where one book goes into detail of what the sons of Ishmael and the sons of Jacob did, as far as what the Bible King James Version is telling us. And the Bible does tell us to go outside to the other books that it referenced to get more detail or to close some of the breaches and the gaps that we see in our Bibles today. So continuing to the book of Jubilees, chapter 20, verse 10 through 12. And ye will be for a blessing on the earth. Abraham is talking about his seed, more so through Isaac and through Jacob. And all the nations of the earth will desire you, and bless your sons in my name, that they may be blessed as I am. And he gave to Ishmael and to his sons and to the sons of Keturah gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son. And he gave everything to Isaac his son, and Ishmael and his sons, and the sons of Keturah and their sons went together and dwelt from Param to entering of Babylon in all the land which is toward the east facing the desert. And these mingled with each other, and their names were called Arabs and Ishmaelites. So that was the end of the book of Jubilees, chapter 20, the division from Jacob, Abraham, Jacob's seed through Isaac and Ishmael through the seed of Esau. The two families separated with enmity.